Hey there, welcome back to part two of the Royal Regiment of Scotland kilt. I was, we had an exchange of messages with the chap whose kilt this is that I'm going to be altering, and we're going to go forward with what I've recommended about making it comfortable, making it a kilt that's going to last him a long time. First, I'm going to talk about, because there was a great deal of interest in people about the progress on this thing. So I'm yeah, so I'm just going to cover a few things before I carry on. I believe that the scale of issue for these things is about 5 years. I can't point to any source, but this sort of half-remembered conversation with a contact of mine in Ottawa about the upcoming issue of Highland kit and blues and dress uniforms and stuff like that to the Canadian Army. Now, that's the figure that just sort of stuck in the back of my brain. I'd asked around about that because that will temper that expectation of how long these kilts are expected to last as a functioning garment that's parade worthy, as it were. Is Yeah, given that they only expect 5 years use out of the thing, it sort of tempers my remarks. First off, I'm going to say about the things I really like. This is really good cloth. It's a what I would call a hard tartan, very resistant to snagging, right? What is interesting to me is that it's a tuck selvage. Now you may not be able to see it through the camera, but can you see that kind of fuzzy line right there? The cloth has been woven to the edge and then woven back about an inch or so, or 3/4 of an inch, then deliberately severed. That is a production method that's very common these days. But I guess what I have to change my mind about tuck selvages, because I used to condemn them out of hand. But obviously tuck selvages are not all created equal, because the ones that I had seen, that I had formed my prior opinion on, were rubbish, and this is actually quite good. As you can see, it's a very straight line. There's a bit of wavering, but that's what you expect in the natural fabric, right? So given that the kilt's only expected to last 5 years before the soldier's entitled to draw another one, maybe that's a reasonable shortcut. And frankly, what I should do is I should make a kilt from cloth with the tuck selvage from Dalgleish, of course, because why would I go anywhere else? And then basically wear it to destruction to find out exactly how good or what the actual practical limitations are of a tuck selvage, as opposed to my sort of theoretical objections to them. So nice cloth. Another thing I really like these buckles. These are, I'm not sure if they're anodized, if they're powder coated or what. They're not parkerized, but they're metal. I feel the cool of metal. I don't know if they're brass, but I really like that look. So what I think I'm going to do, if I can prevail upon the owner, is if I can, in the time it takes for me to turn this kilt around, is send one of these buckles off to a trusted supplier, Polix Industries in Quebec, and ask them if they can make these. They're the ones that did my double buckles, the World War I style buckles. Ask them, I would be surprised if they couldn't, but ask them if they'd be interested in making some of those, because I really like that. It's a really nice, to my eye, it's a wonderful alternative to chrome, right? I really like that. But yeah, these leather tabs are going to go, and these are going to be replaced with tartan cloth tabs. The Black Watch officers and sergeants cockades are wonderful. I can't tell you if this is natural or nylon. It doesn't matter, but it's a beautiful cloth. And if I didn't mention the origin of this in the past, I can't recall now, so I'll just say it again. And if I'm repeating myself, well, repetition is one of the principles of learning, so tough. This I consider a very, very sensible and practical alternative to a kilt pin, because of kilt pins, no matter how carefully you put them in, they erode the cloth, right? The origins of these things, on the inner apron, historically, there would have been two ribbons, or one ribbon halved and sewn down in the middle with swallowtail ends attached to the inside apron. On the outside apron, there would have been two holes with finished edges. When you put the kilt on, you would draw the ribbons through the holes and then tie it off in a bow in a decorative fashion to hold the two together. I think so. So there we go. There's the origins of that. I quite like that look. So Okay, so we've just about covered everything that I like. Let's talk about the other stuff. When I remake this, instead of sewing the strap on the inside, I'm going to sew the strap on the outside for a couple of reasons. Because when we have the strap here, I mean, when the strap bottoms out against the buttonhole, that's as tight as you can get it. And if it bottoms out against the buttonhole, your kilt simply isn't tight enough. By moving the strap so that it's fastened here, it gives us a bit more latitude because we can do alterations just by moving the strap an inch or so either way. And also by having that little bit of apron underneath to act as a guard, a gasket, I don't know, that prevents the bare strap digging in. If otherwise, let's imagine, you know, this is your body under the shirt. This can be a bit uncomfortable. This is less uncomfortable, so we're going to do it that way. Very nicely done job on the box pleats. I really want to find out how everyone else does it, because I sort of invented my own way to do box pleats, and I'm not sure how they would stack up against everybody else's. I'm not going to be able to reuse this lining for a couple of reasons. We're changing the dimensions, and frankly, I don't like hard cloth as a lining. It's sort of polished cotton, which is nice, it's very durable, but it's very smooth, and that causes your shirt to tend to untuck as you're walking around, so your shirt starts blazing out. So we're going to replace that with a cotton flannel of an appropriate color. The flannel keeps the shirt tucked in. It also wicks better, so you're not going to get so hot across the back. And now, let's talk about silliness. We have a central canvas panel, which is fusible interfacing. It's basically glued. I've raved about this stuff before. We can see it's basically put in place and then hit with an iron to glue it on. And we've got a row of stitching here, which seems to be, I don't know if that was done by hand or machine. But it's not a good idea. We're replacing this. There's also no steeking. Here's the bottom of the sewn part of the pleat, the fell, but there's no steeking stitch along here, and that means at the bottom that we can get sort of a jagged sawtooth effect at the lower edge because the steeking isn't there to hold it in line. The steeking also reinforces the bottom of the fell because this isn't very structurally strong at all. In fact, it's quite weak. We need the fell to the steeking to reinforce that. So that's something we're going to upgrade. So basically, we're treating this as a kit, and it's good cloth. It's nicely put together. It's competently put together, given the parameters that it only has to last a certain amount of time, and they have hundreds and hundreds of soldiers to kit out at a budget. So I give it a pass grade, but at the same time, this isn't going to continue. And also we see that we have two other pieces of canvas enclosed in the lining that aren't even attached to this. That's a fail. So again, we're going to remove all of this stuff that doesn't work and replace it with stuff that does work. Now, as it progresses, because again, I've also had somebody else ask a couple of questions because they want to do exactly the same sequence that I'm about to do here. So I will post when I can as I reach each step, and hope that thereby I'm answering all your questions. So there we go. I'm going to get started on this right away, and we'll check in again with you soon. Thank you.